Welcome, everyone, to the Week 9 series of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to give you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you had not had the chance, go check us out at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram for article and news and video updates at Just Saying with no GWJS. Thursday Night Football kicks off tonight. We got a great one where the Green Bay Packers are heading off into San Francisco to play the 49ers. But before we get into the game analysis, we do have some COVID updates. On Monday, Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon, Kamal Martin were all put on the COVID list. A.J. Dillon got COVID. Jamal Williams and Kamal Martin were in the high-risk category. They will not be playing tonight. Yesterday, San Francisco 49er wide receiver Kendrick Bourne also contracted COVID, leaving Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk in the high-risk category as well. Those three players will not be in tonight for the 49ers, giving an already pretty depleted 49er team even more depleted. But, Jack, run us through this game. What we got going on here?
Yeah, both teams last week got torched differently. The Packers giving up 173 rushing yards to your boy Dalvin Cook last week. But on the other hand, the Niners also got torched by DK Metcalf. With that, I'm looking at both of these offenses actually this week more than the defenses. I think it's more on these offenses, especially with Jimmy G out for the 49ers and Nick Mullins starting. And Aaron Rodgers, we talk about it after a loss. It's always looking like a bounce-back game.
Absolutely. I think when you're looking at what happened last week with the Green Bay Packers, you're kind of going and scratching your head like, what?
Yeah.
Even I didn't expect the Vikings to win. I mean, Devontae Adams had 3 touchdowns, but then all of a sudden that second half, especially in the fourth quarter, they just couldn't seem to move the ball or find any sort of rhythm. And I think if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're going back into that mentality of RELAX. Everything's going to be fine. I'm Aaron Rodgers. Don't worry. I'm going to pick apart whatever defense is now going to be in front of me. I just got pissed off this weekend, and now I'm going to go and give it a hand. And I think on the flip, if you're the 49ers, the Vikings gave you the blueprint of how to beat this team, which is run the ball 30-plus times to whichever back, because it seems like doesn't matter who's in the backfield for the 49ers, whether it's Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jermichael Hasty, Jerick McKinnon. All of these guys can be a running back one for this team. So if you're Kyle Shanahan, let's run the ball as much as we can. Let's do exactly what the Vikings did. Let's drain out the clock, and let's give Nick Mullins, who also won't have any George Kittle. He won't have any Brandon Ayuk. He's not going to have any Deebo Samuel. He has no weapon. So we're going to need to be able to run the ball and then give him nice and easy passes to slowly pick apart the Packers defense.
Yeah, of course. And with Rodgers, you said it right there. Just take the ball away from him with possession time, run the ball. And the Niners do that better than anybody else in the league. Right now, the way that they've been able to run, especially with, Coleman, McKinnon, Mostert, Hasty, all these people you mentioned, they are in and out of the lineup every week. It's a reason that they got rid of Matt Breida last year. But I'm really looking for, you said Devontae Adams last week had 3 touchdowns. Rodgers has 20 touchdowns on the season this way and only 2 interceptions. So I'm looking for him to go off on this San Francisco defense this week. Who is going to have to step up heavily against him. But as I mentioned, Devontae Adams, 3 touchdown game last week. Outside of him, I'm looking at Robert Tonyan, the tight end, who's actually a very interesting storyline coming out this year. After 2 years in Green Bay, he only started 2 games combined. And with the last 6 games that he's played this year, he's got 27 targets, 23 catches, 309 yards, 5 touchdowns. This guy's got an 85% catch rate. He's somebody I'm asking a lot of people to pick up in fantasy because he's become a very cheap budget waiver. But I'm looking for him, especially after the Niners traded away Quan Alexander this week to the Saints. I'm looking for them without their man coverage linebacker to have a huge issue with Robert Tonyan this week.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think what's really the highlight of this game, the big matchup, it's really not players. It's Aaron Rodgers versus the defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh from the 49ers. Last year in 2019, we saw 2 games in the regular season and the NFC Championship where they ran the ball down the Packers' throat like the Vikings did to win both those games. I mean, they made them look absolutely ridiculous. So now what I think the main question is that because they had the talent? You had Bosa, you had Sherman healthy, you had Quan Alexander, Fred Warner was having a great season, is having a great season currently. You had Solomon Thomas, you had these guys, you had DeForest Buckner, you had all these guys. So was it talent? or did Robert put together the best scheme to just make Rodgers uncomfortable? And I think that's what I want to see tonight. Is this going to be a game where Rodgers is very uncomfortable like we saw in 2019, or is because there's no real key defenders anymore on this team outside of Fred Warner, are they going to be able to take advantage of pretty much all of their stars being out?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a great matchup point. A big matchup point not a lot of people are bringing up is this Niners defense versus the Packers offense. This scheme that Saleh has put together is incredibly impressive. You know, San Francisco right now is the 4th best defense in the league in yards per game, and they're 10th best in rushing yards allowed per game. And with the Packers playing without A.J. Dillon, without Jamal Williams, without Aaron Jones, a position group that, on any other week they would be stacked at, I think that this defensive scheme, you're right, it's going to be a really tough day for Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be something to watch out. They're going to try to throw him some confusing looks. And even though they don't have the big names out there, they can still get it done.
Absolutely. And if you're Marquez Valdes-Scantling, you're pretty much, and you're Robert Tonyan, you're pretty much not anyone named Davante Adams.
Yeah.
You have to step up this game as well.
Yeah.
I think last week, Davante Adams went 7 receptions, 53 yards. But what's outstanding about that is the 3 touchdowns in the red zone. They absolutely took advantage of the youth of the secondary for the Vikings. Davante Adams, it's not his best game. Only 7 receptions, 50 yards. It's not. So that means that Robert Tonyan, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, you have to step up right now. This is a pretty depleted defense. Step up, make it done. Aaron Jones could actually play today, which could be a huge boost for this team. It's going to be a game-time decision, which sucks. He's had the calf injury. He was limited the other day in practice, which is always a good sign to see the day before the game. If he's not in, though, this game gets that much harder, and I think what you're going to see is the Packers will become a way more one-dimensional team, which means Rodgers is going to be dropping back a lot and passing the ball a lot, which isn't necessarily a bad thing when you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. But when you know pretty much every first, second, and third down, it's going to be a pass play, it allows the defense to sort of to know what's going to go on, play it a little bit easier, and it won't be as difficult for them to defend when they don't need to worry about the play action. They don't need to worry about the bootlegs or anything like that where Rodgers is going to be moving out of the pocket, except for how he naturally moves if the pocket collapses.
Yeah, and I'm looking for Zadarius Smith to make, just on the other side of the defense, to make Nick Mullins very uncomfortable. This game, like you mentioned, it's going to be very one-dimensional for the Packers, if not having their running backs. And if, without Jimmy G out and, with a plethora of running backs injured for the 49ers, it's going to be, unfortunately, still more running from them if they're going to have to control this game. So I'm looking at like Smith brothers right there out on the Packers defense, but Zadarius Smith, especially with 6 sacks on the year, to just go after Nick Mullins on an offensive line with no Trent Williams this week. But I am going to actually take the Packers with this one. I feel that with Aaron Rodgers, you just can't really bet against him. When he's had a bounce back game, we saw that earlier this year. He had a tough game, came back the next week, did fantastic. So I'm looking for a big Aaron Rodgers game. And like you said, he's in his running the table mentality right now. He's got the division lead. So, it's hard to count him out.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I want to disagree with you, but I feel like you took a pretty surprising loss to the Vikings in Lambeau for a historic day for Dalvin Cook. You're not going to lose another game. You have one game up on the Bears, who are sitting at 5-3 after a tough loss to the Saints last week. Yeah. They know what is at stake for this game. They know how much this game means, especially if the Bears, if they lose and then the Bears are able to pull off a win and take over that first spot in the NFC North. I'm going to go absolutely with Green Bay. I think Rodgers is going to come in pretty angry, pretty upset in that RELAX mentality, and is just going to do everything he possibly can to pick apart the team. As always, I expect Davante Adams to find the end zone. Do we think he's going to get over 2 touchdowns today, or do you think he's going to be just under? What do we got going on here?
I'm looking at maybe a touchdown. I think when you have 3, the scheme has to shift over red zone-wise to another player. I think he's going to get a lot of big looks in the red zone. But I would say, every week, Davante Adams is a threat for a touchdown. He's Aaron Rodgers' #1 guy. He's a fantastic route runner. His yards after catch ability is next to none, and definitely never count him out. I can always count that guy for a touchdown.
3 games with 2 or more touchdowns so far this year. That's pretty impressive. That is all the time that we got today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Enjoy tonight's Thursday night football game. It should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, enjoy it. We'll see how much Aaron Rodgers is relaxed. And, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Check it out on youtube.com, justsayingfootball.com, and justsayingnog on Instagram for all your article and video updates. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. Have a good one.